Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. It is your favorite dimpled hot mess here. And as always, I am here to give you the reviews with thirst traps, romance reads, and just for the most part, the like of that part. It's just mostly, I'm honestly mostly romance reads for the most part. Maybe I want to delve into the horror genre a little bit this year, but we'll see. Today's review is going to be Hunting Adeline by none other than H.D. Carlton. And it's been a quick minute since I've done the Haunting Adeline duet series. Not because I didn't want to, but I honestly I remember writing the in-depth book review with this book and I totally spaced to record it. So if you hear me fumbling a little bit, I am reading off my notes and I do have PTSD from this book. I am going to be very honest and I'm going to say that I did not look forward to this book at all. I don't look forward to it one bit. And I'm going to say that Hunting Adeline is definitely nothing like the first book in the series. And I could see why most people in this, in our book community definitely don't really mention this book. It is a very, 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 very dark book, and I am going to let you guys know that there is a serious note to take these trigger warnings very seriously and look into depths with them at the very beginning of the book. They are all listed, and we know that Haunting Adeline ends off on a cliffhanger. We know at the end of Haunting Adeline that Adeline ends up being kidnapped and, it ends off on a cliffhanger. And quick summary, we readers know that Zaid is like the head of this underground organization committed to saving trafficked victims, stop human trafficking. And, of course, it is a cherry on top when Adeline is abducted into the very system that he hates. Right from the start, you could tell this is gonna be very freaking traumatizing. I'm gonna let you guys know that there is a lot of things I'm probably gonna discuss in this review that is definitely most likely not YouTube appropriate, not great on that end. Like I said, I'm gonna honestly look up the triggers ahead of time. And on top of that, there is spoilers I am getting into for Hunting Adeline. We book community people know that Haunting Adeline is one of our first intros to dark romance. A lot of us read this as one of our first dark romance reads. I sure as hell read this as one of my dark romance reads, and the first one I could see what all the hype was about from Bookstagram and Book Talk. But I'm mostly gonna say Bookstagram because I don't like TikTok. I'm not gonna say I don't like TikTok. I just prefer my usual social medias. I don't need more judgment from the FBI agent on my phone. So right from the start, this book is gonna be traumatizing. We have Adeline with her two captors and a doctor who automatically is freaking creepy as hell. The doctor tried to kidnap her away from her captors, and then she is taken to the worst place of all. Her mouth gets her in trouble, basically. We all know Adeline is very sassy, she doesn't like to, and she's basically taken advantage of right away in that home where everybody is trafficked. I'm not gonna lie, I had to do some research to remember the characters because this was one of my worst reads in 2024 or 2023. Honestly, like I said, I totally spaced out. I thought I had recorded this book, and I don't like to leave a series hanging from you guys. I am going to say though, I am not going to finish the Crave series, mostly because I feel like that phase of my book, how do I say this? That phase of my book community has kind of like fizzled out. I loved Crave series and how it was written, and it was probably one of my first intro to like fantasy and more romance levels. It was definitely more of my beginning and trying to figure out where I lied in the book community. And honestly, it was all the controversy with Tracy Wolf. I definitely don't really feel like supporting that kind of work. And, I definitely fell in love with characters. Hudson Vega will always be one of my first. And, I just kind of grew out of that young adult book series phase. I definitely want to support more diverse reads if I do go back to the young adult genre. But in the meantime, I am going to keep reading adult reads and do my best to keep supporting the diversity that the book community offers. And I love reading new authors every day. I've discovered so many Latinx authors this year, and I'm so grateful for them, like Mari Maravilla, Rebel Carter. Those two are like some of my favorites to read. I'm so looking forward to that. I just finished my in-depth review on Rebels Carter on how to on that time I took down a cult, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else she produces. And the Toxic Paradise series is definitely one I did not know I needed, but I loved it. Anyways, rant over. Thank you for going along with that. But anyways, back to Hunting Adeline. I'm most likely going to be ranting a lot about this, so if I get distracted, well, you know what you got into. All right, so basically from the first book, I was rooting for Zaid and Addie, and there was a good amount of good scenery, good smut, all the good works. Well, all that good smut and hotness that you got in the first book of Haunting Adeline, well, throw that out the freaking window because you're basically in for grape sessions, torture, abuse of every kind, and just downright misery. For those of you who have followed my journey throughout Instagram, you know a little bit more of this rant because if you're someone who is as sensitive as me, you know that these books trigger warnings are very much something that I had to take a break from reading because I thought that I could handle the trigger warnings, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'd had to take a break from this book for a while. And I'm not bashing the author H.D. Carlton or her written works because if you have read or listened to my Haunting Adeline spiel, you know that I loved Zaid and their banter and their hot scenes, and I love Sibby and I enjoyed recording Satan's Affair, and I'm looking forward to that duet. But nothing in this book, nothing for me at least, nothing truly significant or joyous happened until like more than halfway through this book. Summarizing this, basically, Adeline goes through hell at the hands of her torturers, Francesca, her brother, and your basic white boy who is privileged as all hell, blood torturing Adeline for more than half the book. I will not go into detail about everything like that. Usually I do, but I'm not going to go into detail. Let's just say that I would skip a huge majority of the book. I would probably like not get into it. For me, it was just kind of easier to delve into the diary. Some people say that the previous diary from Haunting Adeline doesn't make an appearance or how it completely dismisses the murder mystery solved of her great grandmother. But honestly, I think it worked out because in the end we ended up getting Phantom by H.D. Carlton. I know that was an issue for a long time, but 2025 we got Phantom. 2025 or 2024? Anyways, the point of the matter is that we got Adeline's past, making an appearance, and we get a more detailed book on it. And I have yet to read that. It is on my TBR, but in the meantime, I've just been enjoying my more funner romantic reads. But, the way that Adeline had her grandmother's diary in the first one, we have a diary of a previous traffickee, for like a better word, with Molly, and kind of showed like readers that there is hope and, that there is like something good between all this insanity and torture going on in this book. And setting wise, we have Adeline's mansion or the disgusting crack house that it happens to exist in this. I honestly think that probably HD Carlton did her research on the trafficking situation because oh my god, that felt real. That felt real. There are very few characters that were actually good and many that were just pieces of shit. The only thing that I say that is kind of positive about this book is that Adeline definitely gave Sydney, which we ended up finding out is Sibby's sister, what she should have had a long time ago. I kind of saw it coming because Sydney was beyond traumatizing. She was such a traumatizing character. And the way that she added to the fuel of Adeline's torture is something I would never want anybody to read. Um, and Adeline became more of someone that, when she wasn't, I don't want to say that she wasn't a baddie in Haunting Adeline. She was definitely more of like, I think a lot of our like, I'm not lying when I say a lot of our attention was focused mostly on Zayd. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. Most of our attention was mostly focused on Zayd, and Adeline was just kind of who we all wish to be. Let's be honest there. And Adeline herself became someone who matched Zayd's level, and I enjoyed her as someone who is an author and someone who has a Hawkeye in her trail, but now in this book I did enjoy her as someone who could hold her own. I don't agree with this method of how she became a badass. I don't agree with it at all. I think there could have been different things, but beggars can't be choosers. I think this will be a shorter review, but my question to those of you who have also read Hunting Adeline, we remember her kind of cute abductor Rio, and he's he's complex. He helped crash Adeline's car and made sure that he brought her to Francesca and her house, but he was also there to heal her and kind of bring her trauma back to stage one. You know, the white douche who was with Adeline would scar her so bad that Rio would be there to stitch her up, and he never forced himself on her. In fact, we find out he himself was a victim because Francesca would blackmail him into doing things with her because his younger sister is also a trafficking victim at another house, and he did it to save her from the more obvious despair and I imagine a much more worse fate than the one she already has. We troopers who got through this book know that Adeline spared Rio's life out of everybody's. Rio obviously goes into hiding from Zayd, but he sends a note thanking Adeline for saving his sister and her, saving his sister from her horrible situation. And honestly, I kind of want to know from you guys, what did you think about Adeline sparing Rio? Let me know in the comments below because I think it was definitely something that honestly it could be it's very complex because I see why Rio did it, but I don't agree with the method that he still like. I don't know. It's just a very weird situation. I think Adeline wanted to save her. I mean, he's definitely going to go into hiding, but I'm glad she saved his sister. And what I admire most about Adeline in this book is her like pure perseverance and determination. She fought for her freedom. She stood up for the victims and was not afraid to be courageous, even when it put her in worse situations. In the end, I really admired the way that H.D. Carlton wrote her enemy's demise. Zayd killing the piece of shit brother of Francesca, Sibby killing Francesca, poetic justice that scene, and Adeline finally getting the chance to end her torture. But Adeline escaping was especially a bittersweet moment because we as readers know that Zayd was on the right trail of finding Adeline, and Adeline was so close to getting caught, and just that moment they were able to find each other again. It was probably the only refuge I could truly get in this super massive black hole of a book. Because before I get into the main reason why I actually continued reading the series, let's talk about Sibby real quick. I will enjoy the fact that I got to see more of her unique spunk. I know that from what I've read of Sane's affair, I know she could fight. I enjoyed the fact that Zayd knew Adeline was very uncomfortable with male touch, especially when she finally escapes and suffers from you know, a shitload of PTSD. Um, we just see how much of a badass Sibby truly is. We're talking about a baddie who is a Harleen Quinzel with imaginary hot henchmen. I still wish I had more of a visual aid, but oh well. Who else is curious about who she messes around with? Because I want to see they better be some hot ass clowns. The fact that Sibby's own duet is in the works with HD Carlton's, I'm excited because that means Sibby and this, like, maybe Sibby and that bodyguard definitely know each other from somewhere because there was that little scene where they kind of recognize each other, but I don't want another cliffhanger on that duet. I really don't. Sibby is very much the little sister with the couple. They didn't expect her to tag along, but there she is, helping out and making them uncomfortable somehow at the same time. She's there because she brings a side of Zayd that we or Adeline didn't really get to see from the first part, which is like his caring side, that he does not only solely cater to Adeline, the woman he is attracted to. Of course, we know that of course we know that Zayd cares a lot, especially for his occupation. I mean, look at his occupation. But, seeing it in action with someone else who's also close, what can we say? And speaking of him, I will admit he's definitely more emo and sad boy vibes from this one. I mean, he lost his little mouse. I will admit that at least the nickname chapters, the Diamond and the Hunter, were way more on point in this one. Honestly, I was low key disappointed in how little good smut there was from him because let me tell you, if this book could be categorized as a dark, slow, slow, slow burn, I would. Let me get into it. Some perks of it was like, oof, I wish I would have listened to Haunting Adeline's Audible book, but because, I had heard nothing but good things at this time about this narrator, and, that was an opportunity missed for me. The only thing about the smut that I enjoyed about from this book is kind of seeing the submissive side of Zayd. He listened to Adeline and obeyed her orders as he should, especially after all her trauma. Like their first kiss since Adeline's return was her kissing him and only allowing that till the smoke cleared. Or when Adeline handcuffed him and had him on his knees on the bed. I'm still saying I would like to see that image. Those scenes were so hot to me because honestly, when a man listens and follows through, it's something so small yet so important. Other than that, it was kind of teasing on the dark note of slow burn, trauma, and blood play that allowed Adeline to get her body back, for lack of a better word, to get her body back for herself. Miss Carlton, Miss Thing, though you missed a big aspect of this book that could have been shown, I think Claire, the main enemy who got Adeline abducted in the first place, you could tell she liked Zayd when she wanted to work with him instead of kill him in the climax of this book. She wanted to F him, and not just in the murdery kind of way. And Zayd could have took that opportunity to mess around with Adeline like two dogs in heat in front of her. Cause think about it. This bitch put Adeline in a sex trafficking ring and traumatized her. And this would have been the biggest fuck you to her, in my opinion. I'm just saying, because she tried to break Adeline. She tried to take away her individualism, her body, her sexuality, and Adeline still managed to get that back with work of her own and support from everyone around. And it was just some big opportunity missed. Like they're gonna like Carlton, you already put me through enough hell for the first half of this book. I would have liked to have seen more revenge on that end. I think it was the death of this character in this book of Claire was too easy. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And talking about this now, like I said, I definitely blocked out a lot of this book. Not my thing, and I'm just gonna keep saying it because I have the complete collection, but honestly, it's kind of like it's this book reminds me of the last season of the '70s show and Once Upon a Time. You ignore it. I don't care for it. I don't care for it one bit. And I haven't read H.D. Carlton since. I'm not gonna lie. It's not because I'm hating on her, but mostly because I'm evolving into other aspects of my book journey. I've been delving into some horror genres. I really have been liking Dawson's form of writing. I love Rebel Carter, and honestly, I'm just kind of getting into other arcs. Like I've got into the arc of the game by Leonor Solis. I really enjoyed that one. That was like my first sports romance in a while. So here we are just learning new things. I'm not just dark romance or romance, but it is a big part of it. And, if you're still around, thank you so much for being here. Yes, this was much more of a rant than I expected. Please don't kill me, guys. And if you would like to hear more about my hot messery, please subscribe and like this channel. And you could also find me with my Instagram and YouTube channel here at Dimpled Hot Mess.